These are my Xfinity racers. As you might already know, I've been cast for a race in San Francisco next week. It is a very special high-speed race. It's a quarter mile. It's kind of just a really top-speed race, but it does have a couple gates along the way. The rules are that maximum limits are 6S and 6 inch. I personally don't believe that 6S 6 inch is necessary for this race or is worth the risk of blowing up your quad or even the time of trying to make 6S and 6 inch work. So I've decided to go with 5S primarily. I will have 6S option, but primarily I'll be running 5S. I have a couple of 5.5 inch options and 5 inch options that I can decide upon once I'm there and I see what everybody else is running, and I can kind of test the quads on the track and see which one suits it the best. So I'm going to go down the line. I've spent the last about 18 hours building these quads. I'm not even done yet. I still have, I don't even know what, 2 more, and I have more parts for another one too, which I don't think I'll have time to build. So let's go down the line. This quad is running 3B's custom motors. They made me specifically for this race, actually. They are 1600 kV motors with a very special new Japanese magnet technology, they're telling me, and it has the Gemfan 5.5 inch prototype props on there. They look like 7 inch props that are bullnosed down to 5 inch, but they're 5 pitch, and it's running T-Motor 30 amp 6S ESCs, so this quad is intended for 6S. On a 5 pitch and 1600 kV, it sounds low, but the thing really moves well. The problem with these motors is that I think the magnets are actually low temp magnets, so I'm kind of not getting the punch that I want. It kind of sort of feels like battery sag, but the battery doesn't move. When I'm running 6S on it, the voltage just stays exactly where it is. It's very efficient at using the power because it's such low kV. So it's a really good choice, but it's not going to be my primary racer. It's going to be one option that I have. This one will most likely be my primary racer, but I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure which props I'm going to be running on it. These are also prototype motors from a while ago. They are 2306, 2750 kV motors that we've had for a while. They're pretty good motors. I haven't run the 2750 kV ones. It's also running the T-Motor 30 amp 6S ESCs. I'm running these ESCs just because it's the most solid 6S ESC that was at the shop at Puroflip, so it was the best option I had. This is the only one with the Runcam Micro in there, and I'm using that because it's a little bit lighter, and this is a really high kV build, so I'm hoping that on 6S, and I hope on the 5x4x3 prop it's not going to explode, but I think that might be my primary racer. It'll be very, very fast, and it'll have really good punch. The race is only a quarter mile, so it's only going to be about a 10-second race, so I don't really care about sag. It's really going to be hard to even see much sag during the race, so that's that. The next one is my top shelf racer. So all 3 of these are running the Matek F405 flight controller. That's the new flight controller from Matek. It is a fantastic flight controller, far better than the DYS F4, because the DYS F4 cannot run 5S or 6S. It just melts and doesn't work on 5S, so don't bother running that thing past 4S. And this flight controller will do 6S. The video is super clean. Everything on it works perfect, and it's amazing. It's one board. I'm so happy to have this option because it's finally a new solid option for me, and I think everybody to use. It will run 6S comfortably. I've been running 6S on these quads, on these 3 quads, like all day, and it's been totally fine. This, like I said, is my top shelf racer. It is running the new Pyrodrone 2307 2522 kV motors. These are the new motors that just came out on, well, they came out last week, but they officially came out on Thursday, I think, and they started shipping. This is a very special motor that we've made, and it's really cool. Anyways, this quad is primarily 5S, and I'm using the Tattoo 5S 30 amp ESCs on it because I love those ESCs. The reason I love them is because they have the most even power output of any ESC that I've felt, more even than the T-Motor, way more even than SpeedX. Nothing I have felt feels like these ESCs. These ESCs don't even need anti-gravity mode and beta flight. They just fly perfect right out the box. When you punch it, when you punch and cut the throttle, you don't get dipping on any corners. It's just solid and stable. So I really love these ESCs. Let me tell you a little bit about this motor. This motor is 2307. The intention of this motor, you're not going to feel significantly more performance on 4S over a 2207, but what you will feel or notice is that it'll be a little bit more efficient. So if you're flying acro with this motor, you'll have, you know, really good control, because I mean, it's a super torquey motor, so is the 2207, but you will also have a little bit more efficiency. So on my 2207, on a 600 gram acro build, I'm getting about 3.5-4 minutes on that when I'm not like punching it like crazy. This one will give me a more comfortable 3.5-4 minutes when I'm not punching it like crazy. It weighs 1 gram, not even 1 gram, it's like 3/4 of a gram more than the 2207. It's a 30.5 gram motor, which is phenomenal for a 2307. It has N52 arc magnets. It is using a lot of components from the same suppliers that Brother Hobby uses. The air gap on this motor is like astonishingly tight. I don't know how any factory can create such quality control that gets this air gap consistent each time and it doesn't scrape the stator. So a really phenomenal motor. This open bottom is really nice as well. It makes it really easy to mount. You can look at your screws and see if it's hitting your windings like immediately. It's super easy. It's a great all-around motor. The 2750 kV version is coming in on Monday, I believe, and I would say that if you're going to be running 5-inch on this motor on a race quad, you should get the 2750, because it's going to give you that ridiculous power that you're looking for. For racing, I would not. I mean, this is a super duper high-end motor. Like, it's going to pull all the amps. Like, if you're pushing it, you're going to be lucky to get 1.5 minutes on this motor, because it just has the capability of pulling so much power out of your battery. So you're going to need like an 1800 or something if you want to get 2 minutes out of it. But then you're getting up in weight, so it's building these things is not as easy as it would seem. You can't just throw the highest battery and the highest motor and the best everything in it and expect it to be the best. Anyways, it's a great motor. Check it out. It's a pretty good price as well. I like it very much. Again, 2522 is excellent for 5S. 4S, it'll be very similar to a 2207, but on 5S, it has a lot of power. A lot of power. It's a very good quad. Like I said, my top shelf racer. The next one I put together from spare parts that I had. This is using the SpeedX 4-in-1 4S 30 amp ESC, but I've been running 5S on it and it does just fine. I put a nice big cap on there that's only really intended for 4S, but it seems to be working fine for 5S. It's using the Hyperlite 2206 V4 motors, 2522 kV. They're pretty good motors. I will probably be running a standard 5x4x3 on this quad, and it's just a backup alternate to these three. And the rest of these quads are kind of just backups of backups, which I'm just testing to see if they actually give me good performance. This quad here is, again, running the F405, which is excellent, and it has the T-Motor 30 amp 6S ESCs, so I can run 6S on it. These motors are the very old Pyrodrone 2207 2150 kV motors. This is a 5.5 inch frame like the first one that I showed you, so I do have the option of running 5.5 inches. These motors are very old, but they are also very, very, very fast for being such an old motor. They don't have the best magnets, they don't have the best air gap, they don't have the best, nothing about this motor is the best, but when you punch it, it keeps accelerating, which I don't understand how. And on 5S, it's really good, and it handles 6S just fine. Particularly this motor, because it has a wide air gap and weak magnets, it has a much easier time handling 6S. But again, I think that 6S is not necessary because the added weight of 6 cells on the quad is just too much, and I don't think it's going to actually make it go any quicker. And I'd rather have the punchability and agility of 5S. This will have more punch on 5S than it will on 6S. 6S will give it a little bit higher top speed, which it'll only be about 5-10 miles per hour. It won't even be 10 miles per hour faster. So it's not even. I don't think it's going to be worth running 6S on this quad. It will probably be running those props, the 5152s, on 5S, and it'll be very comfortable and very fast. Although it will not have the punch of these other quads because of the weak magnets. The next one is also a quad that I'm building from a bunch of spare parts that I had. These are the Emax 2306 2450 kV motors, which in reality are 2330 kV, so they're pretty low. They will run 5.5 inch gray. They're a great 6-inch motor on 4S. I would highly recommend these motors for 6-inch. They work really well. On 5-inch, to me, they just feel slow. Conrad and many people like it very much on 5-inch. I just personally think they're a little bit slow. I feel like I hit a max. I feel like I'm stuck in second gear when I hit max throttle. It just doesn't move. Doesn't matter what prop I put on an A-van or whatever. It just feels stuck in second gear. But on 5S, it'll probably be great. So I'll be running this on 5S again with the GemFan 5152 because it's a nice aggressive prop without having ridiculously high amps. So it'll be great. The reason why I'm not running the A-van on this setup is because the A-van prop draws so many amps when you're pushing it that it has melted XT60 connectors off the wire and welded the two halves together. So I cannot run that prop at this race, unfortunately, even though it has the best control feel I've ever felt on any prop. These are some alternate motors that I have on hand that I will maybe be testing. I'm not sure. I've already flown them a couple times, but I haven't flown them on any of these. I've been flying them on a previous Floss build, not these Floss 2 builds. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, these are all my Floss 2 prototypes. I would appreciate that nobody just copies my design outright. It's not out yet. I don't know when it will come out. It probably will be at least another 2 months. I'm spending a lot of time refining this frame. This is what the Floss one was supposed to be. It was kind of an unfinished prototype frame. I didn't expect it to be so popular, but it is now, so it is what it is. These are alternate motors. They're also 3B motors. They made them, again, custom for me for this race, and they are the same motor as on that quad over there, but in 2000 kV. And I chose a 1600 kV because it's going to be a much better motor for 6S. These motors, something's really, I mean, they're doing something real special with this motor. The designer of this motor is the designer of the original red bottom motor, and as you know, the red bottom Emax red bottom motor was a legendary motor at the time because it was just so powerful and such a good motor that came out. So the guy really knows what he's doing. He's a fantastic engineer, and the construction quality of these motors are really excellent, but he's got to work out some fine details. And the casing is just not, like, don't even look at the casing. It's the inside that matters. They just put the casing around it for me to test it for them. I'm going to be running China Hobbyline batteries because they're great batteries. I don't really need any more. 5S and 6S. These are the 70C batteries. I have chosen the 70C because I don't need the massive battery of 100C, and it's a 10-second race, so I don't really expect there to be big issues. They're 1300 milliamp packs. The 100C version of these packs are just like a centimeter longer, and it's just too big of a pack. It just doesn't fit nicely on top of my quads. This is another quad that I had. This is the first Floss 2 prototype that I built, that I was testing. I took the motors off it. I actually I don't know where I put them. I put them on one of these other quads. I had Banggood send me some Racer Star motors, the more recent ones, because I wanted to see how they are and how they compare to recent build quality of other motors. These are the 2403 motors. They are 23 grams, and the reason this quad is here is because this is running, or was running before I destroyed it and took it apart, this was running the Pyrodrone 2204 2550 kV motors, which are really good motors. They're a little bit less powerful than the new 2204 motor, but they are really good motors on 5S for a very, very light build. And I'm comparing these two because this motor is about the same weight as this motor. So they're both about 23 grams. And for a 2403 motor, this should feel a lot like a 2206. So I'm kind of interested to see how it is. Although the construction quality of this motor is complete garbage, unfortunately. But it's Racer Star, so they're very cheap motors. You can't expect a lot. They work fine. They work great. They're definitely not top of the line products. The air gap on this is huge. The magnets are weak. I can't even feel the magnets. It's like the smoothest spinning motor that I've felt because it has no magnetic feel to it at all. It's a lightweight motor. It's made of, I think it's made of 6065 aluminum. It's not made of 7075 because I can ding it and dent it pretty easily, and that's that. And then the last thing I want to show you is my 3-inch. This is the 3-inch quad that I built before I built all the rest, and I was really excited to fly it because it just looks so nice. I mean, I am not a fan of 3-inch, but this thing I was very, very surprised at how nice it looks. Unfortunately, the 4-in-1 18 amp, the Dark Drac or whatever, the 4-in-1 ESC board that I'm using here, it is broken. 2 of the ESCs don't work. Unfortunately, 2 of them work great, but the other 2 don't work, so I can't actually run it. I think I'm just going to throw a spark in there. The other board I'm using in there is a F4 Revo board, 20x20 mount. That actually, it's an M2.5 20x20 mount. that has a FreeSky receiver built into it. So it's really convenient. It makes for a really clean build. The only thing that this quad is missing is VTX and a camera. So if I had those two in there, it would be excellent. As you see here, it's just under 105 grams. I think it's 104.3 grams. And this is again the Floss prototype, the Floss 3-inch prototype. This one will be on sale. The prototype batch will be on sale whenever people at PureFlip get a chance to package it and properly put it on the website. The final version of this will have a little bit different design, but it's a really cute little design, and I was really excited to fly it, but unfortunately it doesn't work. So yeah, that's it. Very much looking forward to this Xfinity race, and I have 2 more quads to finish, and I haven't even gotten the antennas on this one and this one, so I gotta make these antenna tubes work out. Yep, sorry I've been missing for a while. I've just been really busy at work and now really busy with this. I have a lot of content that I've wanted to make, but I just haven't had the time. So, yep, ask any questions you like. Take care. Don't forget to floss.